The first time Richard truly saw the maid in his house was the night his wife slapped her. Not in some quiet moment. He saw her the way you see something when everything goes silent. Sharp, sudden, like a man who has been walking in his sleep and just fell off a step. The sound came before anything else. A loud crack. The kind of sound that should never be near a human face. He was at the door. He had come for water. He had been home for 40 seconds. He saw his wife's hand still in the air. He saw broken glass on the floor. He saw water spreading slowly across the tiles. And then he saw the girl. She was standing completely still. Her hand had moved up to her cheek. Slowly. The way someone moves when they have done it many times before. Take the pain. Hold it. Do not fall apart. She was not crying. That was the thing that hit him hardest. She was not crying, not shaking, not saying a word. She was looking at the floor with a face so blank and empty it could only come from years of practice. You do not learn to be that still from one bad moment. You learn it from 100. Richard stood at that door and felt something he had not felt in a long time. Shame. Not because he had hit her, he had not. But because this girl had lived in his house for 2 years, 2 full years. She had cleaned his floors, ironed his shirts, served tea to his guests. And he had looked at her the way you look at a chair. Something there, something useful, but not a person. He had looked at her 100 times and never really seen her. He had been sleeping inside his own life. And someone had just woken him up. Before we go any further, if this story already has you hooked, take 2 seconds right now. Hit that like button and subscribe, because this one is going to go places you are not expecting. Trust me, stay with it. Her name was Lila Osai. She was 20 years old, and for the last 4 years, she had been learning how to take up as little space as possible. It had not always been this way. Before the accident, she was a loud, happy girl, the kind who followed her father around asking questions about everything. How does an engine work? Why does bread rise? Her father always answered. He never told her to stop asking. That was what she missed most. Not his face, not even his voice, just the feeling of being around someone who thought her questions were worth answering. Her parents died on a Tuesday in March. A truck crossed the road on a wet highway at 7 in the evening. The police officer who came to the door had kind eyes, but did not know what to say to a girl of 16 who just stood there staring at him. She did not cry. Her Aunt Margaret took her in, not a bad woman, just a tired one. She had 5 children of her own and very little money, and now there was a 6th child in the house, carrying a heavy sadness with her. Lila lasted 8 months. One night she was lying on a thin mattress she shared with 2 of her cousins. She heard her aunt talking in the kitchen. "She is a good girl," her aunt's husband said. "I know," Margaret said, "but she is not mine. I do not know how much longer we can do this." Lila stared at the ceiling. She thought about what it really meant to be someone that nobody was made to carry. She decided that night that she would not be carried. She would carry herself. She left before the sun came up. She wrote a small note. She took only what was hers. She walked to the bus station with 1 bag, enough money for a ticket to the city, and enough food money for 2 days if she was careful. She was 16. She was alone, and she was very afraid. But she told herself on the bus, watching the flat land turn into tall buildings in the distance, that this was the beginning. She had to believe that. It was all she had. The city was not kind to her. 3 weeks in a small room near the bus station. Thin walls. A dirty ceiling she tried not to look at. Job after job that said no. Doors that closed before she finished talking. People who looked at her and saw a young girl with nothing. She kept going anyway. One Thursday, a woman at a job agency looked at her and said, "I have a job, big house, good money. The work is hard and the wife is not easy. Girls who go in not knowing come back to me crying in 3 weeks." "I will not come back crying," Lila said. The woman looked at her for a long moment. Then she wrote down an address and pushed it across the desk. A house on a hill above the city. A man named Richard Blackwood. Lila took the paper, folded it, and put it in her pocket. She did not know she was walking toward the place where everything would change. She only knew she was walking, and that was enough. The house was like nothing she had ever seen. White stone, big iron gates. Inside, floors so shiny she could see herself in them. Ceilings so high they made you feel small. Rooms full of things too nice to touch. Everything in that house said, a very rich person lives here. What it did not say was that a very unhappy person lived there too. Veronica Blackwood was waiting in the sitting room. She was the most beautiful woman Lila had ever stood near. Dark hair, perfectly done. Clothes that must have cost a year of Lila's wages. Eyes that looked her up and down in 2 seconds and moved on. "You are the new girl," Veronica said, not a question. "Yes, ma'am. My name is Lila." "I did not ask for your name. I asked if you can work." "Yes, ma'am." "Then we will see. I do not give second chances. One warning. After that you go. Is that clear?" "Yes, ma'am." She left. Lila stood alone in the beautiful room. She understood what had just happened. She had been looked at, judged, and put in a box marked, easy to replace. She had been in that box before. She had survived it. She would survive it again. 2 years went by. 2 years of waking up at 5 every morning. Floors never clean enough. Shirts never pressed the right way. Tea served a little too late or a little too early. And Veronica's voice, she never shouted, which would have been easier. She was always quiet, always calm. And that quiet was its own kind of cruelty. Is this how you were raised, Lila? Do you actually think, or do you just wait to be told what to do? You are lucky to be here. You do know that, right? Lila took it all in. She built walls around herself the way skin builds thick skin over a wound, slowly, from pain, until it stops hurting as much. She sent money to her aunt every month. She read books by lamplight late at night after the work was done. And every night before she slept, she sat at her small window, looked out at the city below the hill, and let herself want things. Just for 10 minutes. A room that was hers. A life she had chosen. One person, just one who saw her. Then she went asleep. And the next morning at 5, she got up and made herself invisible again. The day of the slap was already a bad one before it became the worst. Veronica had 12 women over for lunch. Lila had been working since 4:30 that morning. She had not eaten. By the time the last guest left, her hands were shaking, her feet ached, and her back was on fire. She went to the kitchen and started on the pile of dishes. One plate, then another. Just think about the one in your hands. She was almost done. Almost. Veronica walked in. The air in the room changed. Lila kept working. "The floor," Veronica said. Water had splashed from the sink, the normal mess from washing 100 dishes. "I will mop it when I finish these last few." "Now." Lila put down the glass. She mopped. Veronica stood in the middle of the kitchen watching with her arms crossed. "You people," Veronica said to no one, "always cut corners." Lila said nothing. "Do you enjoy working here, Lila?" Every answer was wrong. "Yes, ma'am." "You do not look like it. You look like your body is here, but your mind is somewhere else. That bothers me." "I am sorry, ma'am." She finished mopping, went back to the sink, 2 glasses left. Her hands were so tired. She did not feel the second glass slip until it was already falling. It hit the floor and burst into pieces. 100 small pieces that caught the light as they spread across the clean floor. Veronica's face went still. "That was crystal. I am sorry it slipped. I will pay." "You will pay? With what? One glass costs more than your whole month's wages." She stepped closer. "You let your mind go somewhere else, and this is what happens." "I am sorry, ma'am. I have not eaten today. My hands are—" "Stop. I do not want to hear about your hands. Stand here and understand what you have done." Lila stood. She understood. And then Veronica slapped her. The sound was huge in the quiet kitchen. Lila did not move. She raised her hand slowly to her cheek. She pressed it there. She looked at the floor. She did not cry. She had been hit before. Not many times, but enough. And each time she had learned the same thing. Tears give the other person power. Staying still and quiet takes that power away. She was taking it away. Clean this up, Veronica said, calm, cool, as if nothing had happened. Then you are done for the night. She turned to leave. And a voice came from the door. What is going on in here? Richard Blackwood had one rule about his home. He did not get involved in how Veronica ran it. He was almost never there early mornings, late nights, weekends lost to work. The house was Veronica's world. He paid for everything, asked about nothing, and told himself this was just how it worked for two busy people. He had been telling himself this for 9 years. What he saw at the kitchen door made every excuse he had ever made feel like a lie. His wife's hand, still in the air. The girl standing like stone, holding her cheek. The broken glass on the floor. Veronica. His wife turned. Her face changed quickly, the way someone changes a mask when they realize they have been seen. You are home early, she said, nicely. What happened? The girl dropped a crystal glass. I was telling her how much it cost. By hitting her. She has been careless all day. For 2 years she has been. Go inside, Veronica. He said it quietly. He always spoke quietly. But there was something under the quiet, something firm, that his wife had learned in 9 years not to fight. She walked out. The sound of her heels faded across the floor. The kitchen went still. Richard turned to the girl. She had not moved, still holding her cheek, still looking at the floor. She looked like someone waiting for the next bad thing to begin. What is your name? He asked. She looked up. Her eyes were dark and careful. Lila, sir. How long have you worked here? 2 years, sir. 2 years. He looked at the red mark already rising on her face. Sit down. Sir, I need to clean. The glass can wait. Sit down. She sat on the kitchen stool, like someone who was not sure they were allowed to. He went to the freezer, found a bag of frozen peas, wrapped it in a cloth, put it on the counter in front of her without saying anything. For your face, he said. She stared at it, then slowly picked it up, held it to her cheek. She flinched once, then went still. Have you eaten today? A pause that said everything. This morning, sir. It is almost 8 at night. He opened the fridge, put together what he found: bread, cheese, cold chicken, and placed it in front of her. Eat. Sir, if Mrs. Blackwood. I am Mr. Blackwood, and I am telling you to eat. She ate, fast, without looking up. I am sorry, he said. For what happened tonight, it should not have. She looked up. It is okay, sir. It is not, he said it simply, not to make himself feel better, just because it was true. It is not okay. Something small changed in her face. Then she looked back at her food. After that night, he started to see things he had never noticed before. The flowers in the hall, always fresh. Not the expensive ones Veronica liked, but simple ones from the garden. He asked Agnes who put them there. Agnes looked at him like he had said something strange. The girl, she said. Always the girl. His books had been moved. Not in the way Veronica did things, by color or size. These were sorted by subject. Someone had done it better than he had ever thought to. He started coming home earlier. He started talking to her, small things at first. Good morning. Good morning, sir. Cold today. Yes, sir. I put a blanket in the study for you. I did not ask for that. No, sir, but you always come home late and the study is the coldest room. She was already walking away. He went to the study. The blanket was on the arm of his chair, right where he would need it. Then came the night in the library. It was October. He came in to get a book and found her on a small ladder, back to him, cleaning the high shelves. She did not hear him come in. He watched her stop. She had taken a book from the shelf and was holding it, looking at the cover. And her face, the face he had only ever seen closed and careful, opened. Something soft and alive came into it. The face of someone who has found something that matters to them. No show, No guard, just real. He moved. She heard him, her face shut like a door. "Sir, I was just finishing. I'll go." "Which book?" he asked. She stopped, then slowly held it out to him. He knew it well. He had read it twice. "I have read that," he said. "I know. It was in the box you were throwing out. I kept a copy. I should have asked." "What did you think of it?" The question surprised her. She chose to be honest. "The ending is wrong," she said. "The writer gives the woman what she wants but not what she earned. Those are not the same thing. When you give someone what they want without making them work for it, it does not feel like love. It feels like pity, and pity is never a good ending." He had said almost the same thing to a friend once. That friend had smiled and changed the subject. "Yes," he said, "that is exactly what is wrong with it." "Take any book you want," he said. "You do not need to ask." She looked at the shelves. Hundreds of books she had walked past every day for 2 years, thinking they were not for her. "Thank you," she said quietly. Veronica had sharp eyes. She had always had sharp eyes. She was not charming, she was careful and afraid. She saw Richard stop in rooms where Lila was working. She saw him come home earlier. She saw from the top of the stairs the night he stood and talked to Lila in the library. She could not hear the words. She did not need to. She watched her husband listen, really listen, with all of himself, in a way he had never listened to Veronica. She stood on those stairs and felt something she did not have a word for. Pain. Not for the marriage. She had long accepted what the marriage was. What hurt her was realizing she could not remember the last time Richard had looked at her the way he was looking at that girl. She was not sure he ever had. She went to her room, and she made up her mind. If she could not have his love, she would keep his loyalty. And to keep his loyalty, she had to make him choose. And to make him choose, she had to remove the other option. The girl had to go, not quietly, in a way that shut every door behind her. She started with more work, harder rules. She began to say cruel things in front of the other staff, more public than before. Lila took it all, as she always did. That made Veronica angrier than she expected. She had wanted tears. She had wanted the girl to break, but Lila gave her nothing. She stood straight, kept her face blank, said yes, ma'am, without any feeling, and went back to work. Veronica watched her and felt something she would never say out loud. Respect. She pushed it away and moved to her next plan. The storm came in November. 3 days of heavy rain. The city went quiet. People stayed inside. The world outside was loud with water. Veronica left on the second day, her sister's house. She left a short note. Richard came home to an almost empty house. He saw light under the library door. She was on the floor, back against the bookshelf, legs crossed, a lamp beside her, a book open on her lap. She had not heard him come in over the rain. He stood at the door and watched her read. She was completely lost in it. Her lips moved slightly with some of the words, not to sound them out, but because the words were too good to just read with her eyes. She frowned, went back a line, read it again. She looked like the most real version of herself. He moved. She heard him. In 1 second, her face closed. Her body straightened. The book fell. "Sir, I am so sorry. I thought you were not coming home." "Sit down, Lila." "I will go." "I am not angry. Please, sit down." She picked up the book, sat down carefully, holding it in front of her like something to hide behind. "What is it about?" he asked. "A woman who makes the wrong choice for the right reason, and spends the whole book trying to work out if that makes her a good person or not." "What do you think?" "I think that is the wrong question. The real question is whether she is honest. A good person who lies to themselves is more dangerous than a bad person who knows what they are." Outside, the storm was huge. Inside, the lamp made a small, warm light. And slowly, Lila began to talk. About the small town she grew up in. Her parents, the accident, her aunt's house, the thin mattress, the words she heard through the wall, the bus to the city with one bag. She told it simply. No self-pity, just this is what happened. This is what it cost me. This is who I am now. Richard listened the way he had not listened to anyone in years. No phone. No distraction, all of him there. When she stopped, the rain was very loud, and the silence between them felt safer than she expected. "You are remarkable," he said, not to be kind, as a simple fact. She shook her head. "I was given everything," he said. "I have never had to start from nothing, not once, and I do not think I really understand what that means." They talked for 3 more hours. At some point he said, "I have been a coward in my own home." Lila said nothing. "I knew things were not right. I have known for years. It is easier to not look." He stared at the rain on the glass. "You learn not to look." "Yes," she said softly, "you do." Something was growing between them. Both of them could feel it. Like a door slowly opening, light coming in, and knowing that once you have seen the light, you cannot pretend the door is still closed. "Lila," he started. "Don't," she said quietly, no anger in it. "Not tonight, not here, not like this." He stopped. She was right. "Okay," he said. After midnight, she stood up. "Good night, sir." "Richard," he said, "just Richard." She looked at him for a moment that went on longer than it should have. Then she walked out. He sat alone in the dark library, listening to the storm. He felt more alive than he had in 9 years, and more afraid. He did not sleep that night. He lay in the dark thinking about a girl reading on a floor, about a voice that said, "Not tonight, not here, not like this," about a door that was now open and could not be shut again. 3 days later, Veronica came back. She knew something had changed the moment she walked through the door. Something in the way Richard greeted her, calm, careful, with the kind of attention a man gives when he has not done anything wrong, but knows he wants to. She sat at her mirror for a long time. Then she called her friend Diana. "I need to end this," she said, "cleanly, for good." The bracelet was her first move. A thin gold bracelet with a small diamond on the clasp. One of 2 Richard had given her years ago. She never wore them. She put one in the pocket of a white dress she sent to the laundry one Monday morning. On Thursday, she went to Richard at breakfast. "My bracelet, the gold one. I put it in a dress pocket before the laundry. It is gone." "Are you sure you did not just misplace it?" "I am sure." A pause. "Richard, the laundry only goes through one person's hands." He was still for a moment, then he nodded. "I will ask her." "I am not saying she took it," Veronica said gently. "I just want to know where it is." Richard found Lila in the guest room making the bed. She looked up. She saw his face, before he said a word. She went very still. "Veronica's gold bracelet. She says she left it in a dress before the laundry." "I washed that dress," Lila said carefully. "There was nothing in the pocket." "You are sure?" "Yes, sir." Her voice was steady, but her hands on the sheet had tightened. He held her eyes. She did not look away. She did not look like someone who was lying. "All right," he said. He left. Lila stood in the guest room and felt the ground shift under her feet. She knew exactly what was happening. She had seen this kind of thing before. When a powerful woman feels threatened, she does not fight with her hands. She builds a story. Lila was being turned into a thief. She smoothed the sheets, finished the bed, then sat on the edge of it for just a moment, pressed her hands together, and let herself feel how scared she really was. This was how things ended for people like her. Not with fairness. With a story. Richard could not sleep. He went over it the way he went over problems at work, looking for the thing that did not fit. He had been watching Lila for months, and the thing he had seen in that time was this. She did not lie. She had covered for Agnes when Agnes made a mistake in the kitchen. She had taken blame for something Thomas had broken in the garden. She had quietly protected people again and never once asked for anything back. That was not how a thief behaved. He got up at 2 in the morning. He went to Veronica's room. 3rd drawer, under a pair of gloves. A thin gold bracelet with a small diamond on the clasp. He stood there, holding it in the dark. He put it back, exactly where he found it. He went to the window and looked out at the dark city below. He felt something building inside him that took a moment to name. Anger. Not the quick, hot kind. Something slower, colder. The anger of a man who finally understands what has been happening in his own home. What has been done to a girl who had no one to stand up for her. What he had allowed by not paying attention. He stood at the window until the sky began to get light. Then he went downstairs, made coffee, and started deciding what to do. He waited until Lila had started work. He found Veronica in the dining room, sitting perfectly still, reading her tablet. He sat across from her. He put the bracelet on the table between them. She looked at it, then at him. Her face did not change, not guilt, not fear, just a woman who had placed a bet and was deciding whether to keep going. "Where did you find that?" she asked. "Third drawer, under your gloves." A pause. "I was looking for it. I thought I had left it there weeks ago." "Veronica." I really thought." "Please, do not do that." She stopped. Something shifted in her eyes. She lifted her chin. "You want to believe the girl? Fine, believe her. She has that kind of effect, clearly." "This is not about believing anyone. I found it in your drawer. And I am telling you, I put it there myself. I do not see why the word of a maid should mean more than the word of your wife." He looked at her for a long time. She held his eyes. 9 years of practice holding his eyes. "How long?" he asked. "How long what? How long have you known that what you just said is not true?" The silence that came after was different from the others. Not a planned silence. A real one. The silence of a woman who has run out of road. Her shoulders came down, just a little, just barely. In 9 years, he had never seen her shoulders do that. "She was going to take you from me," she said. Her voice was still controlled, but something had broken inside it. "You were already gone. Every time you walked into a room she was in, you were already gone." "I was not." "Don't," her word now, firm and flat. "Do not tell me what I did not see with my own eyes." "I know what I did was wrong," she said. "I knew it when I did it." She looked at the bracelet. "But I have been losing you for 3 years, slowly, and nobody," her voice got thin, "nobody fights for something they are losing without doing something they are not proud of." Richard looked at his wife, the woman he had lived next to for 9 years, respected, been comfortable with, never quite loved the way either of them needed. "I am sorry," he said, "for my part in all of this, for the years I was not really here, for not being honest sooner." He paused. "But I cannot undo what you did to her, and I cannot stay in something already empty and pretend the bracelet never happened." Veronica looked at him for a long time. "Go and help her then," she said, very quietly, like something had left her. "That is what you are going to do, so go and do it." She stood. She walked out. She did not look at the bracelet again. A door closed somewhere upstairs, not slammed, just shut, the sound of someone who is finished. Richard sat alone. He felt the full weight of a man who has finally told the truth and cannot go back to the way things were. Then he got up and went to find Lila. He found her in the garden. She was moving along the flower beds, cutting off the dead flowers, one by one, careful and steady, making space for the next ones. She heard him. She looked up. She saw his face. "I found it," he said. "The bracelet." He watched her close her eyes for 1 second, one breath. Then she opened them. "I know you did not take it," he said. "What happens now?" she asked. "That is up to you. I want to help you, not to control you, not to hand you things. I want to open a door and let you decide if you want to walk through it." "Why?" she asked. "Because I see you, Lila, and I should have seen you a long time ago." She was quiet for a moment. "I want to study," she said finally. "A real course, business or money, something I can build a future with." She paused. "And I want my own place." "Done," he said. "Both. I will pay you back." "You do not have to." "I will anyway." He almost smiled. "All right." They stood in the thin morning light. "There is something else," he said. "This," he said the word simply. It landed between them like something placed down carefully. Whatever has been growing between us, I am not going to pretend it is not there. She said nothing. I am not asking for anything. The apartment, the school, those have nothing to do with this. You owe me nothing. I know, she said quietly. But I am asking, when things are different, when you are not in this house, when we are standing somewhere equal, will you give this a chance? She was quiet for a long time, long enough that he thought she would say no. Ask me again, she said finally. In 1 year, when I am not your maid and you are not my boss. All right, he said. She nodded once and went back to the flowers. She packed the same bag. Same clothes, same old photo folded inside the same dress. The books, 8 of them, more money this time, 2 years of savings. Agnes was in the kitchen before sunrise. She looked at the bag, the coat, the early hour. She said nothing. She went to the counter and packed a small tin of biscuits she had made the night before. Agnes, Lila started. The old woman shook her head. She opened her arms. Lila walked into them. Agnes held her, warm, soft. Then she let go. Go, Agnes said. Her voice was rough. Do not look back. Do not ever come back to clean another person's floor. You hear me? I hear you, Lila said. She went. Richard was at the gate. Simple clothes. No driver. Just him, standing in the cold morning air with a set of keys. He held them out. She took them. A small flat, first month paid, a name at a college, a contact at one of his businesses, real work that would teach her something. Nothing else, no conditions. She looked at the key in her hand. She had never before held a key to a place that was truly hers. She closed her hand around it. 1 year, he said. 1 year, she said. She walked down the hill. She did not look back. She was 20 years old. She had a key in her hand and 8 books in her bag, and a whole city spread out below her in the gray morning light. She had arrived here 4 years ago with nothing but a bus ticket, and the belief that this was the beginning. She had been right. It was a Wednesday in April, 7 months after she walked down that hill, when Lila sat on the floor of her flat at 11 at night and held her phone and did not call him. The exam had not gone well. She had studied for 3 weeks, sat in the hall, written for 2 hours, and known, 40 minutes in, that she had got a key question wrong. Everything she had written from that point was built on a mistake. She handed in the paper anyway, walked home in the rain. And now, she was on the kitchen floor with his name on her screen. She knew what he would say if she called. Something calm. Something that would make it feel smaller without making it feel small. She knew the exact sound of his voice when he was being honest and steady, and she wanted to hear it badly. She put the phone down. She got up, made tea, opened her notebook. 3 hours working back through the material, finding the mistake, fixing it, building it right this time in her own handwriting until she understood it fully. She took the exam again 6 weeks later. She passed. She did not call him to tell him, but she wanted to. And the fact that she wanted to and chose herself first was the thing that told her she was ready. 5 months later, she sent him an address, a restaurant, 7 o'clock on a Friday. He replied in less than a minute, yes. She was already there when he arrived. Corner table, dark jacket, good shoes. She was sitting the way people sit when they know they belong where they are. She looked up. She smiled, not the small, careful smile he had sometimes seen in the house. A real one, open, his. He sat down. You look different, he said. Different how? He thought for a moment. Like yourself. She looked at him. That might be the best thing anyone has ever said to me. She told him about the year. The flat, waking up every morning in a place that was hers and no one could take from her. The course, hard in the way things are hard when they really matter to you. She had failed one exam, retaken it, passed it, and felt prouder of that pass than she would have felt if she had got it right the first time. The job, she had moved past her starting role in 4 months. She said this simply. It was just a fact. I am going to start my own business one day, she said. Not yet, but I know what it will be. Helping women who have had nothing, training, jobs, small loans for small businesses. I know someone who does something like that, he said. I know you do, I read about it. She looked at him. I am not asking for your money, Richard. I want to build it myself, but one day, yes, I would like to talk. She had used his first name, easily, as if she had always done it. How is Veronica? She asked. He had asked for a divorce 6 months after Lila left. It was quiet. She kept the house. He had offered it and she took it. He understood. She needed to keep something. She is doing better, he said. I think she is going to be all right. Lila nodded. She said nothing mean. And you? She asked. I have been waiting, he said. You said you would ask me again, after a year. I know. So ask. He looked at her across the table. He thought about the kitchen that night, her hand on her cheek, her eyes on the floor, not breaking, not giving anyone the satisfaction. He thought about the library floor in the storm, a book open on her lap, her lips moving with the words, the most real version of herself, before she heard him and shut it all away. He thought about the garden gate, the key in her palm, the way she walked down that hill without looking back, not because she felt nothing, but because she felt too much to stop. He thought, I have never been this afraid of losing something in my life. Will you have dinner with me? He said. A real dinner, next week, where I tell you everything I have been thinking for a whole year and you decide what to do with it. He watched her face. He had learned to read it over the last year. He saw the moment she decided to let herself want something. Next Friday, she said, you choose the place. You did not like my choice this time. I chose this place. He smiled. Right. She smiled back. He reached across the table. She looked at his hand. Then she put hers in it. Outside the window, the city kept going, busy, loud, not caring about anyone. Neither of them noticed. He had been still for a year. He had never seen so clearly in his life. If this story moved you, hit the like button and subscribe so you never miss the next one. And drop a comment, did Lila make the right choice waiting a full year? I want to know what you think. See you in the next one.